Hello. This brief presentation will look at our current competitive environment and how we as managers and individual contributors can make a difference with winning strategies. Before we look at some motivating strategies, it's important to understand what motivates us as employees. If we were to take a poll, I'm sure many of us would see the topics regarding financial goals, career aspirations, and challenging objectives for ourselves. But one of the ones that hits most of us is the issue of job security. There are four general areas we see as threats to job security. Let's start off with brokers. They represent outsourcing for our industry. Failed innovation represents executing a program to its highest level but not selling through. Competitive share growth. We all know what happens when our competition has share growth against the whole piece of pie. And automation is really impacting our sales field, especially with customers going to automatic ordering and impacting the way we sell at stores. Let's look at a recent study from McKinsey & Company of company reactions to a drop in demand. So they looked at first past recessions. And in past recessions, companies made up a lot of their profits by accepting lower anticipated profits, but mainly from letting go of 40 to 30% of their employees. However, when demand came back up and the environment became healthier, they hired all of the employees back. When we looked at the last 2 decades, when a drop in demand occurred, companies laid off an average of 20 to 40% of employees, and they made up some or all their profits. However, the significant difference is many of them have been replaced with automation and outsourcing. According to the authors of That Used to Be Us, this trend requires us to look at workers differently. We used to look at workers as blue-collar or white-collar performers. We need to look at workers as creators and servers. The changing paradigm of workers creates these two areas, with creators driving productivity, innovating, and developing, while servers service the creators. They support and execute, but can be replaced. However, the significant point here is that you can be a creator in either category. Let's look first at the creative creator. Creative creators can make a difference and add value by developing new ideas, innovation, generating new strategies, and facilitating collaboration among their team. Let's look at how a creative server can add value. Well, on a daily basis, they can improve efficiencies on the way to go to market. They can produce more with less by learning new skills and learning new automation tools. A big one is tailoring different display needs and service needs for each customer across the board, therefore returning a higher compliance level. And then what we've all learned in the last couple of years at Kellogg's, the power of K, partnering with your peers, really returns a big impact. Let's look at some examples of creative results in other industries as well as ours. Well, you probably aren't surprised to see that the Apple iPod was generated by a group of employees that work for Apple. How about this one? The Toyota Prius was developed by employees that work for Toyota. Coming closer to our industry, s'mores. I'm sure all of you have had a s'mores around a campfire. That was developed by a Hershey employee, eventually became a senior VP, but developed this to look for a new meal occasion in order to increase consumption of chocolate. In the soup industry, I'm sure you've all noticed the gravity-fed soup racks. That was created by a group of employees that had a task force put together to develop a new way to get consumers to buy more base sales off the shelf. And closer to home, we recently have seen successes with these Walmart Entrance 3-day events, which is developed by an RSR and a Walmart market manager in order to go after a different demographic at a different time period. So let's look at how managers can influence this type of environment to add value with innovation. We need to create some power to invent and improve and sell on our team. We need our direct reports to be critical thinkers, and we're going to talk a little bit more about that in a little while. We also need to inspire innovation from the bottom up. However, for all of these things to occur, it's important to know that trust is a prerequisite in creating all of this. I'm sure all of you have been in a situation where you came up with an innovative idea to a manager or in a meeting, and it was shot down or not well received. And that feeling you had of some humiliation or embarrassment probably caused you not to be as open after that. Collaboration is also an important key element within a team to develop these value-added strategies. Let's look at an example from the armed forces. You know, during World War I and World War II and the Vietnam War, the drill sergeant was always the god. If he said it, it was believed. And that was a great philosophy to follow because everyone was focused on the same strategies and the same targets. However, we had a change in our enemy. Our enemy became decentralized, as we all are aware of terrorism and the cells of power across the country. So the Army had to change their philosophy to a collaboration one, where we needed to become decentralized, and we relied on the expertise of many troops in different areas and different villages to understand the cultures there and how we can go about working with those cultures in order to win over the enemy. Hopefully you can see the similarities between this analogy and what we deal with in our competitive environment. So let's look at the opportunities for critical thinking on our team. Probably the most popular one is in a grocery store. We do a pretty good job of leading, guiding, and directing our direct reports to look for opportunities in a grocery store, to follow the plans, and then to have a negotiation process with the store manager to overcome any objections and show win-win solutions. However, how many of you challenge the direct reports to be critical thinkers? Let me give you an example. Recently this past year, we had a promotion where a consumer could receive a free high-fiber bar, granola bar, with the purchase of 2 waffles. And the territory managers did a really nice job of selling 1 or 2 shippers on average to every store out there that showed the offer. However, in very few stores did we find those shippers in the frozen aisle to make it an easy purchase and increase the takeaway. That's a great example of critical thinking past the point of just selling and being told what to do. In this situation, a territory manager sold the shippers, but with a little bit of critical thinking, asked themselves, how can I add value to this or make it work a little bit better, would place it in the frozen section. Meetings are always a great environment to generate critical thinking. You can start with a simple task of take 30 minutes out of your meeting agenda to have your team, either all together or in groups, put together ideas to make a display better that's coming up they have to sell against. Maybe it's cross-merchandising, maybe it's location, and maybe it's just a selling theme utilizing some post-analysis. And obviously when we work one-on-one and then we send emails and have discussions, we have the power to generate that type of critical thinking with every event and every occurrence. So going forward, as managers, we want to facilitate discussion, empower partnerships, lead with passion, and encourage work groups to try to come up with that next million idea. And during all that, we need to build trust, celebrate success, have some collaboration, and add value. In closing, I'd like to share with you a quote from the author of the Wall Street Journal on an article relating to this. And he says, as the past downturns have shown, the current economic weaknesses offer new opportunities for those who seize them. Companies with imagination and courage can do more than tread water and amid the slump. Tools like innovation communities can help businesses take advantage of the upheaval and rewrite the rules of their industry. So going forward, I think a healthy attitude in our new winning competitive environment is to spread the message that no longer is it good enough to handle complex situations and job strategies and initiatives, but we also need to add value anywhere we can and be critical thinkers during that. I thank you for listening to this.